Well, thank you very much. My name is Olara Otunnu. This afternoon here in Gulu, we have announced the convocation of the leaders of Acholi land, all levels of leaders, to meet at Pongduo. Pongduo is the site of Sir Samuel Baker's school, just a few kilometers outside of Gulu City. This convocation will take place from the 27th to the 29th of this month, December. Let me say briefly the purpose of this convocation. The Acholi society has suffered a radical collapse, chiefly because of the over 20 years of armed conflict and over 20 years of most of the people being interned in the camps. The result of that has been catastrophe. In Luo, we call it Torpajo. Torpajo is when the fundamentals of a society, what makes a society viable, the identity of the people, their spirit, their pride, the key elements of their economy, their education, their culture, their history, what makes a people, what defines a particular society. When those fundamentals have collapsed, in Luo we call that Torpajo. When we were growing up, our parents would invoke Torpajo, but it was as a proverb. It was by way of teaching. Don't do this. Don't do that sort of thing, because that will bring Torpajo. They never dreamt that one day the society would collapse from within as we see it today. So in the midst of this catastrophe, in the midst of this existential situation that is facing the Acholi community, the Acholi society, we began to discuss, to exchange views. Can anything be done? Is anything possible anymore? And we decided that the best way to tackle this is to put our heads together. We did some consultations across the board and then decided there should be a Pan-Acholi convocation, an all-Acholi convocation at Pongduo, the seat of Sir Samuel Baker's school, at the end of this month, to together wrap our minds around this Torpajo, this radical collapse, this existential situation that is facing our society, which is really expressed at two levels. At the one level, we are talking about material well-being, the collapse of material well-being, meaning formal education, meaning the economy, the incredible level of poverty in the society, the issue of land, and especially the use or non-use of land, and so on. This at the material level. But the other level, even more critical, more central, is the intangible level. What is going on in our spirit, in our minds, our perspective, our sense of self, our identity, our pride, our sense of history, who we are. That is a more critical level. So at Pongduo, we shall be addressing Torpajo at both levels. What is happening at the intangible, metaphysical, non-invisible level, and what is happening at the level that is visible to us, mainly to do with the development issues which are around us. So the Torpajo, the existential situation which has engulfed this community, that is the purpose of the convocation at Pongduo. Now, who is coming to Pongduo? It is a Pan-Acholi convocation, all Acholi convocation, meaning if your main concern is which political party somebody belongs to, we are unconcerned about that. If your issue is where somebody worships, we are not concerned about that. If your issue is maybe they come from the eastern part or the western part of Acholi, maybe they are in the diaspora, maybe some are at home, all these petty, completely nonsensical lines of division, fault lines, we want them to be parked outside. Pongduon is about the entire community, regardless of affiliation, regardless of political views, regardless of where you worship. We want everybody to come together and collectively address the existential threat which is facing this society. So that is the raison d'etre, the rationale for convoking the All Acholi gathering at Pongduon at the end of this month. Now, I should add that, you know, the situation in the country, I often speak of the comprehensive breakdown across the country. But now imagine within that, imagine 1,000 times within that comprehensive breakdown at the national level. Then you have some idea of what the Acholi society is going through. Again, as I said, because of the unique experience of more than 20 years of armed conflict and more than 20 years of people being in camps in the conditions that we know well, actually unprecedented in world history, unprecedented. So that is what is caused where we are. But our purpose in Pongduon is less to inquire about the roots, the origins, what factors may have contributed to where the society is. We leave that for historians. It's very important, but we leave that work to historians in their own good time. Our purpose in Pongduon is to say, this is the reality which is now before us. This is what we face. It's defined, it's clear, we know the contours. Now, what do we do about this? It's not to point the finger at the government, to point the finger at those in parliament, at the local authorities, at the NGOs. No, they have their responsibilities. But to say, you and I, we call it in Acholi PM, you and I, self-challenge. What is it that where you sit and where I sit, what can we do to reverse this situation? That is the purpose of Pongduon.